welcome to Kids Church Corner Online. Are you having a great holiday? Today is Friday, it's the hottest day of the year. Woohoo! I hope you're enjoying the heat, because sometimes people don't enjoy the heat and sometimes you can't do everything you can do in the heat, but I hope you're having a lovely holiday. Just a reminder, in the next few days we're going to start with preparing for the summer camp. It's going to be online, so you don't have to go anywhere. You can log in and you will have an opportunity every day to learn something interesting, to do fun activity, to watch some episodes, and it's going to be fun. It's called Wonder Zone. Thanks to Scripture Union, it's going to be fantastic. So I really encourage you to log in and find out more. If you're wondering what does WWJDS stand for? Have we changed the name? No, but I love that. WWJD is something that I used to wear on a bracelet. It would remind me about what would Jesus do. But I've added also an S for say, because it's not always about what would Jesus do in a situation that you are in, but also what would Jesus actually say in a situation. Last week I asked you to watch an episode from Superbook about Joseph. This is not Joseph who is the stepfather of Jesus. This is Joseph who became a mighty man. He was like the second person in command in Egypt. He was the second person of importance after Pharaoh. But he was born in a completely different place. He was born to a family with many, many kids. And if you ever are part of the family of loads of children, then sometimes you might be aware that you sometimes need to fight for attention. You might have to wait for your turn and various other things. Just like sometimes we're in the playground and there's loads of activities going on and you want to have a ride on that activity, but you have to wait for others to finish before you can have your turn. Well, there was quite a few brothers, and Joseph had loads of dreams. And he was so pure, he shared his dreams with the brothers. And because he was the youngest, his parents looked after him and loved him so much. They really kind of were worried about him fitting in. And others saw it as jealousy. They saw it as, well, you know, they shouldn't really be so careful of Joseph because we are as important as he is. And then they gave him this wonderful coat of many colors. And at that time, they wore quite kind of boring clothes. Nowadays we all wear some interesting things, colorful hoodies, t-shirts and all the rest of the things. But he had an amazing coat, and the brothers hated him even more for this. And so when they had an opportunity, they thrown him into the pit even though he didn't do anything wrong, and then they sold him into slavery. It was better than being killed, absolutely. I would like you to watch the next little episode and have a think. What would Jesus do in a situation that Joseph was in?
The Faithful Hall of Fame, Joseph. This is Joseph, who was the son of Israel and Rachel. He was his father's favorite, so his brothers hated him and sold him into slavery. You see, Joseph was taken to Egypt, and Potiphar, one of the Pharaoh's officials, bought him for his household. God was with Joseph, and he did well in Potiphar's house. Potiphar saw that God made everything Joseph did a success. So he put Joseph in charge of his whole house. And God blessed Potiphar's house because of this. Potiphar's wife saw how well Joseph was doing in the house, and she wanted to make him do bad things. Joseph ran away from her because he wanted nothing to do with someone who would try to make him do the wrong thing. This made Potiphar's wife angry, and she wanted to be rid of Joseph. So she lied and made Potiphar believe that Joseph had done the bad things that she wanted him to do. Potiphar burned with anger against Joseph and sent him to prison. While Joseph was in prison, again, he did well, and the warden soon made him responsible for all that was done there. God was with Joseph and gave him success in whatever he did. When 2 full years had passed, Pharaoh was having unsettling dreams. Pharaoh did not understand his dreams, so he sent for Joseph. Pharaoh asked Joseph to tell him the meaning of his dreams. With God's help, Joseph told Pharaoh that the dreams told of what could come in the future, and he explained all the dreams to the Pharaoh. Pharaoh believed that what Joseph was saying was true. He trusted Joseph as a wise man, and he put him in charge of the land of Egypt, of Pharaoh's palace, and of all his people.
And it's just a simple game I put together. You know, you can do it at home and then involve your family, or just do it by yourself, or you can even film it and be a better producer than we are. I've got 2 WWJDS, which is what would Jesus do, and 2 WWJSs, which is what would Jesus say. And we've got a little arrow that can... Spinner, thank you. Spinner with an arrow that points to the either one or the other. And we're going to have various situations that we're going to talk. Through the story of Joseph, there has been loads of situations arisen against him and for him. And what would you have done in that situation? And then let's see, what did he do and what would Jesus do? Lucy, could you spin please? Wow, that's a great spin. Okay, we're not very clear. What is it?
What would Jesus say?
What would Jesus say? Right, okay. Do you know, in the story about Joseph, he gets into a prison at some point, and in prison, he could have been moaning. He could have been very upset, because you know what, when the situation gets really bad, sometimes it's a normal reaction for us to complain. So Joseph didn't complain. What did he do? He just picked himself up, dusted himself off, like in a song, and he then decides to do the best what he can in the situation that he is in. To the point that the prison officer commended him for what Joseph was doing and put him in charge of the prison. Wow! But in some situations we sometimes face. Now Lucy, if you have friends at school, I know you have friends at school, and they start getting together and whispering behind your back, that doesn't make you feel good, does it?
No.
Because you don't know if they are saying something about you. There might be, and there might not be as well. Would you say something to do this, to put this right, or would you be nice to them, or would you get angry with them? What do you think would Jesus say? Because in a sense, when we say what would Jesus say, it's really what would Jesus want you to say in a situation. So what do you think your reaction would be, first of all?
Well, my reaction, without thinking what God would want us to do, I'd probably be angry, because they're obviously whispering behind your back. But what Jesus would want us to do is probably be nice to them, chat with them, ask what they were talking about.
Absolutely, absolutely. Okay, let me spin. Okay, it's again, what would Jesus say? Now, if I'm walking with a friend, this is my situation, okay? I'm walking with a friend, and my friend decides to go into a shop and buy an ice cream. and I didn't bring any money with me. My friend just goes and buys an ice cream, walks out, and then carries on talking like nothing happened, without realizing I haven't got anything, but I don't have any money either to do anything. We carry on walking. Now, again, part of me will want to think, my friend doesn't care about me. But what would Jesus want me to say? I think in this situation probably I would be just to carry on being normal, being yourself, and just realizing that it's good to remember to bring your purse, and it's good to share. Reminds me, maybe I have a sharing talent or gift or a culture inside of me, and maybe some people don't. And so next time I see my friend, I will share something with her or with him, knowing that maybe they will remember that they didn't share with me last time, and maybe they'll think, actually, next time I'd like to share. Yeah? Okay, Lucy, can you spin? Let's get a D. Let's get a D. Let's get a D. Oh, it's a... Okay. It's a... Lucy made it, what would Jesus do in a situation? So, if somebody was... You're busy playing or hanging out with your friends in between the lessons, you haven't got that much time left, and you know that it's going to finish in a minute the playtime, and you need to then get yourself to your next lesson. Now, secondary school can be a bit tough, can't it? You need to be there on time, you won't want to be late. But then you see with the corner of your eye that somebody else that you don't even perhaps know well, you've seen them around but you don't know them very well, they hurt themselves and they're actually struggling to get back. And they're rubbing their knee, and you know that if you go over there, start talking, you don't even know them, they might not even want you to help them, but you're going to be late. What would you do?
I'd probably, if it was me, I don't know, I'd probably either just go back to class or help them out. Jesus would most likely want us to help out the person, whether you like them or you don't like them.
I think so. Or at least, if you haven't got time and you are worried that the person might not be wanting
go and
to,
tell the teacher.
Yes.
Where your next lesson is.
Yeah, just say that somebody just got hurt, whatever. Yeah, that's a good idea, definitely. Okay, let's have another one. Okay, is it what it's going to be? What is it going to be? Oh, it's a JD again. What would Jesus do? Now, if you were at a park that we were talking earlier on, and you are waiting to have your turn to go on the bouncy castle, something like that, but then somebody pushed you out of your way, and then standing in front of you like there was no queue, and you feel like, excuse me, it's my turn now, and then they go ahead and then they just, what would you do? What was your natural reaction, and what would Jesus want you to do? Actually, something happened to me earlier on today. I was in the queue and somebody just moved in front of me, right in front of me, and my personal reaction would be, excuse me, there's a queue here, I was in it, and the queue starts over there, okay, something like that. But you know what I did? I just stood there, I didn't say a word, and I just prayed for them. That's all I did. Now, I'm not sure if that was exactly what would Jesus do. Perhaps, maybe, he would smile. He was a talker. He was a conversation maker. He was always making people comfortable, and also sometimes would give them opportunity to think about life in depth with the conversation that he made. So I would imagine he actually would strike a conversation with them and say to them, "Hi, how are you doing then? Isn't it been busy, or it hasn't even been hot today, or isn't it been cold today? It's a long queue, or how are you doing today?" And they will probably then notice that somebody was there behind. And they probably would have said, "Oh, I'm sorry, have we stepped in front of you?" And then Jesus wouldn't say, "Oh, yeah, you did, it was my queue." No, I don't think he would. He probably said, "No, guys, it's totally fine. It's totally fine. Go ahead. Where are you from?" And he'll carry on a conversation and probably get to a point of showing his lovely nature. And that is what Jesus wants us to do. Bible is just full of examples where Jesus says, "Do unto others like you would like to be done to yourself. But more than that, be nice to your enemies. Pray for those who hate you." Oh, that is hard. Can you imagine? wishing something nice to somebody who hates you. But you know what? If you do that, not just once, but a few times, you will see situation change. Trust me, it happened to me many times. I was bullied at school, and I found it very difficult to change the situation. I found it very difficult to stand up and retaliate against those who were pushing me, dirtying my clothes, throwing things at me, stealing my books, and breaking my pencils, putting cactus on my seat, and I would end up being full of cactus stings and all the rest of the things. It was horrible. For about 5-6 years it carried on, a long time. But then when I became a Christian, things changed. God gave me so much love on the inside. Then I managed to say, stop. And I also started being nicer to them. And they looked at me, I thought, what's wrong with her? That made a huge difference, because they thought, well, there's no point in being not nice to her because she's not retaliating and she's being nice to us. Something's strange, something's different. And then finally they've been asking questions. And even recently, over the last few years, people have been coming back and saying, I'm sorry. This is like 34, I am, getting old, not really, but you know, it's quite a long time ago. But 34 years ago, and they come back and said, Anna, I'm sorry, I was a stupid person, or I was rather silly about this. Do you know what? It means a lot to me, because however long it takes, it's not about me, because I have forgiven and let go a long time ago, but it's about their integrity. And if they come clean, that means they have wiped it off from their slate, if you like, from their records. Because if they've done it, they come back and said, sorry, Anna, and if they also come to know Jesus, then Jesus definitely will forgive them. So you know what? I would really like you to try to remember, what would Jesus do and what would Jesus say? I'd like us to watch the rest of the cartoon. And again, it's a fun way of remembering the story of Joseph. At the end of the days, when his brothers tried to sell him, some of them even tried to kill him. And when they come for help, without realizing who he was, he actually forgives them. And that's not always easy, is it?
No.
But when we ask God to forgive us, he forgives us. But if you remember the prayer, the Lord's Prayer that we pray, Our Father, who is in heaven, hallowed be thy name, thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our sins, as we forgive those who sin against us. That bit is so important, because if we do not forgive others, God will not forgive us. So go and have fun, but remember, what would Jesus do in a situation and circumstance that you might be in? Or what would Jesus say? And as you're watching the rest of the cartoon, how about you have a think? Was Joseph right about things he did? And why did God bless him continuously? Have fun, and we'll see you soon!
The Faithful Hall of Fame. Joseph. This is Joseph, who was the son of Israel and Rachel. But he had 11 brothers who hated him and sold him into slavery. After being put in jail, Joseph told of the future of Egypt when he interpreted Pharaoh's dreams, and Joseph found favor with the Pharaoh. The Pharaoh made Joseph a leader in his kingdom. Just as Joseph had told the Pharaoh, Egypt had 7 years of abundance. Then the 7 years of abundance came to an end, and the 7 years of famine began, just as Joseph had said. But the Egyptians had food to eat because Joseph had planned for the famine. There was famine in all the other lands, and many came to Joseph to buy food. There was even a famine in the land that Joseph came from. So when Israel heard that there was grain in Egypt, he sent his sons to buy some. But Israel did not send Benjamin with the others because he was afraid that harm might come to him. When Joseph's brothers came to him, Joseph recognized them, but he pretended to be a stranger. So Joseph decided to test his brothers. He had his interpreter tell them to send for Benjamin, who had stayed home. And then he threw his brothers in jail for 3 days. On the 3rd day, Joseph let all but one of the brothers take grain to their starving households with the instruction to bring Benjamin back. But Joseph provided for his brothers' journey and gave them grain and silver. The brothers did exactly as Joseph instructed, as they were scared that God was punishing them for what they had done to Joseph so many years before. They traveled home to their father's house, then back to Egypt. Now that he had seen that they brought Benjamin, Joseph was overwhelmed, so he released the brother who was still in prison. But Joseph decided to play one more trick on his brothers. He sent the brothers away but told his servant to hide his silver cup in Benjamin's bag. Then Joseph told the servant to go after the brothers and retrieve the cup. The brothers hadn't traveled far before the servant stopped them and accused them of stealing the cup. Joseph could no longer control himself before his attendants. He made them leave so he could be alone with his brothers, and he told his brothers who he really was. Ta-da! He told them of his life and all he had experienced, and he forgave them for what they had done. God was with Joseph and took care of him and showed him favor.